Hey, what's up? Hello. As the great Fetty Wap once said, welcome to the hash. It's CoinDesk TV. Let's do this thing. I'm Zach Seward. We got Will Foxley. We got Jen Sanasi. We got Naomi Brockwell. We're going to talk about some stuff. And we're going to start off with Grimacecoin because that is the story of our times. And Jen has the details. Jen, hit us with the Grimacecoin.
I just want to say I figured out how to have the top story of every show. It's to not guarantee that I will be here past the top story of each show. So hopefully I'm here for the full 30 minutes. Let's cross our fingers. Okay, Grimacecoin. So a fake Grimacecoin soared 285,000% after McDonald's responded to a tweet by Elon Musk. So Musk tweeted, "I will eat a Happy Meal on TV if McDonald's accepts Dogecoin," to which McDonald's responded, "Only if Tesla accepts Grimacecoin." Now, obviously, they are referencing the beloved purple mascot, and it didn't take long for almost 10 Grimacecoins to surface on Binance Smart Chain, and I think one even popped up on Ethereum. And, you know, I read this story and I just thought meme's gonna meme. So Will, I'm gonna pass this down to you. It's crazy how quickly one of these coins can be spun up and traded. So talk me through what you were thinking when you read this story.
So when I first saw the tweet, I thought it was actually Grimacecoin, and they were like making fun of Grimes and him separating earlier this year, and I was like, what? That is like a way not funny. And then I realized I read it wrong. So that's just an aside here. But to get back to your point, Jen, you can spin these things up really fast, and it's remarkable how quickly they turn into money, right? I think that one token we saw on BSC hit $2 per token for something that didn't exist 12 hours ago. And if you're able to get in and get out really quickly, you can make a lot of money by doing absolutely nothing at all. That's just kind of where we are at in the market sentiment right now. You can spin things up, just literally trash from a Twitter meme that's not even funny, and you can make a nice little bit of money. And of course, there's other people on the side of that table. So there's people also losing money here. And that's the kind of the downside we see of like this meme economy, where you can spin up tokens and spin them down pretty quickly, depending on how the developers play it out, if they want to reg you or not, basically. Zach, I want to throw this one up to you. Doesn't seem like Dogecoin or anything like that is really pumping anymore in Elon's memes. Like the market almost doesn't seem to care anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. The figurehead factor has certainly waned. Whether that's Michael Saylor in Bitcoin, Nayib Bukele arguably with Bitcoin, Elon Musk certainly with Doge, and all the way down the line in times of red, sometimes their influence is certainly minimized. Right, the euphoria is gone. It's not fun. The lulls are no longer there, and sometimes the price activity stays rather flat, as we've seen lately, when similar actions, at the height of the bull run, would cause these things to pump. I think the cool thing about Grimacecoin, however, is that it speaks to the open and permissionless nature of these systems. Right, anyone can make a joke asset, and maybe potentially, if there's enough attention there in this meme-driven attention economy, there could be some value that accrues to this thing. I think it plummeted shortly after its initial spike. I don't know if there was much more beyond it, but it does speak to the way these systems work. Hey, man, there's a funny thing that some people are talking about. Let's launch an asset around it. And that could be like a tweet from a McDonald's social media manager, or it could be any number of other causes. And we keep seeing all these interesting little experiments pop up over time. Some sillier than others. And this one, Grimacecoin, definitely the silliest. I'll toss it back to you, Will.
Okay, what's the bets here that there's going to be a Grimacecoin 2.0, that there's going to be a professional team develops around one of these, and then we're going to see a roadmap for a Grimacecoin DeFi ecosystem within the next 6 months? I want to see money. We've never done live bets on the show. Okay.
Grimacecoin Classic is going to fork off. It's going to be like original Grimacecoin vision, and then there's going to be the Grimacecoin. They're not pure. That one is going to do the DeFi stuff. Yeah, it's going to be contentious. We
Ronald's
had the Bitcoin wars. This is going to be the Golden Arches wars, and we're going to see it unfurl. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly, folks. Stay safe out there, all right?
Naomi, save us from this terrible line of conversation we grabbed.
I'll save you all. No, I mean, I'm all on the same page. Like, Zach, I get where you're coming from. This internet meme culture is amazing. I love it. I love that, last year we had no, it wasn't last year. It was like a few months ago. Brad Sherman, right? Oh, that is last year. We're in January. Never mind. Mongoose Coin, like he mentions Mongoose Coin, right? And then all these Mongoose coins came around. It's just like, it's really fun to see that stuff. Like, remember, this stuff isn't great for investments. So don't be piling into this thinking, I'm going to make a ton of money. But if you want to gamble, sure. If you want to like pile onto a meme activity, like it's a consumption good, you're enjoying the pleasure of participating in this meme economy, sure. I think that's delightful. And I don't think that people should take it too seriously. I think that it's a whole lot of fun. And I actually really enjoy that iterative nature of the internet. So let's wrap it up and move to Diem. Zach, what we got?
Oh, wow. That whiplash there. That segue hurt. All right, let's go to Diem. Let's go to silly, weird meme coins to said failed stablecoin project.
Sad.
That seems to be the word out of the latest report from Bloomberg, citing sources familiar with the matter. Libra, which is now Diem from Facebook, which is now Meta, has limped along since its initial and loud and splashy announcement in June 2019. And it seems as though this one might be the final nail in the coffin. They're talking about returning funds to early investors, selling assets to do so. Seems like this thing might be real. The death of Libra has long been rumored. We saw some positive momentum out of the project with the launch of the Novi wallet and a trial run involving not the Diem stablecoin, but Paxos's USDP stablecoin in terms of remittances between the US and Guatemala in a beta rollout. But this reporting, if it holds true, suggests that they're in the fire sale stages of putting this project down. So very crazy to see June 2019. This was going to be the hottest thing since sliced bread from a major company in the space. We all know what unfolded after that. Huge backlash from regulators in the US and abroad. Partners dropped the project. And now after a couple of rebrands and attempts to kickstart the thing, if Bloomberg's reporting holds true, it looks like Diem might be on the way out. So interesting to reflect on this project and some of the pitfalls that it encountered along the way. I'm going to throw this straight to Naomi, just for the regulatory lessons that Libra/Diem can offer.
Absolutely. There are a lot of lessons here. So I think there's kind of naivety that Facebook had when they launched into this. I mean, David Marcus, who led the project, he was a crypto OG. Like, you can read about him in, Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper. Like, he was there in the early days. So this is not someone who's just like some Facebook official executive who's just like, oh yeah, let's cash in on this. This is someone who was around very early on, who kind of understood why Bitcoin in particular was important. But then there's this naivety where it's like, okay, if we create this decentralized consortium whereby we'll get Visa, we'll get Uber, and we'll get all these different companies. We'll all be in control of it. So it's not a Facebook thing. We're all going to manage it, and then it's decentralized, and then it kind of fits into this ethos. Also, it's being like each node is being managed by these very competent, successful companies. Like, in theory, it sounds really great if you know nothing about the history of computing currencies in the United States. And so it was obvious that, if you have one of these central organizations like a Facebook, like an Uber, like a Visa that already has this centralized focal point for regulatory scrutiny, and then you say, oh, and now we're diving into competing currencies. Now we're going to create something that's going to rival the United States Central Bank. Obviously, the government's not going to allow that. Like, it doesn't matter if the underlying protocol is split amongst all these different companies. If these companies themselves provide this target for the government to, put a lever on, and here's the lesson, right? The government is never going to go after you for the thing that they want to go after you for. They're going to pressure all the other things that they have control over to force your hand in the things that they don't. So even though they might not have specific control over any of these particular nodes in this, delegated proof of stake ecosystem or whatever it was, they have total control over whether or not Facebook's going to get hit with an antitrust lawsuit, whether or not Uber is going to have a regulatory crackdown, whether or not Visa is going to, be regulated out of existence. So they can absolutely, regulate out of existence this entire project just by focusing on those different companies. I mean, it seems that the only way to do this really is to decentralize past that. First of all, you can't be part of this existing centralized company and then delve into the space of currencies, because they'll just shut down your existing company. You have to not have anything on the table, really. You have to have nothing to lose so that you have the freedom to delve into this world that they really don't like and not fear that everything you've built over your entire lifetime is going to be shut down. So I think that's the lesson here. But Will, I'll throw it to you for your take.
Yeah, quick aside, I'd say like the Winklevoss boys are feeling pretty good this morning that this happened. But the main point I think here is just for some context. This story matters because of what Facebook getting into crypto could have meant for the entire industry. If you go back into the price books and look at 2019, there was a mini bull market and Bitcoin broke $14,000 per coin briefly. And a lot of it had to do with what Facebook was doing, the fact that they were moving into the crypto space, Facebook being probably the most important tech company of the last decade in many people's minds. They gave a lot of legitimacy to cryptocurrency, and then moving into the space was definitely reflected in the price at that time. And of course, it was broken down in parts. Zuckerberg went before Congress. They kind of spat on the project, and then more regulators got involved. And it seems like this newest reporting says that even the Federal Reserve was like, you guys aren't doing this. And now we see that the whole project is gone. They're scrapping it. They're returning money to investors. To me, it tells you a lot about exactly what you're saying, Naomi. Regulators have an interest in keeping money under the guise of the state, and they're going to go after projects that they deem credible and worthwhile to go after. Some of the other things that are out there right now, like private stablecoins like USDC or Tether, they've looked into these, but they haven't really been as aggressive. And I think because there's a credibility gap, right? And they're not really a risk. Facebook is a household name, and Facebook's tech abilities are also well known. If you look back through election headlines and stuff like that, they took it very seriously. They haven't taken these other private stablecoins very seriously, but I think they might start doing that going forward if they continue to get larger. So there's definitely some long tail thoughts about this story that have more to do than just with Facebook or Meta. Zach, I'll kick it up to you for last thoughts.
I got a free Jen because that's what the people want, and her hand was up first, but I definitely wanted to jump in after that. So Jen, take it away.
Just echoing a lot of what Naomi and Will already said. I mean, this just shows that if you get on the wrong side of regulators, they will make your life a living hell until it just really doesn't make sense to do what you want to do, no matter how innovative or how much your customers want the project. I do think it is the right decision for them to close up shop. It wasn't working for them. I think them focusing more on the metaverse and talks of NFT plays feels more in the Facebook ecosystem anyways. And so I think if they can sell off their assets, get money back to their investors, and focus on their metaverse play, it just makes sense as a business decision. But Zach, off to you.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I think like a native fungible token within this metaverse thing would make a lot of sense for them. So the idea that this is a cog that is not going to be able to be placed into their metaverse vision is pretty interesting. But yeah, I think the lesson to me is just that it was a knee-jerk reaction, right? Like these lawmakers weren't especially in tune with what the tokenomics of this project were, but they were in tune with how easy it is to score political points at the cost of Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook at a time when they've had plenty of missteps along the way and they're not held in high regard by the voting public. So I think that was definitely an early example of if this was they were a doxed developer, right? And so there was ways to exert that pressure and that power on them to constrain and maybe ultimately cripple fatally this project that, to its credit, was pretty ambitious and pretty smart out the gate, like on the white paper, really interesting stuff. But the fact that it had Facebook on the back made it a big target, an easy punching bag, and I think the politicians won this one. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about even more stuff. It's pretty crazy. We're going to talk about Ripple snagging a pretty high valuation. And then I think we're even going to talk about the situation in Turkey. All right, stick with us. It's The Hash. There's a break right now. Right now.
Welcome back to The Hash, everyone. We're going to dive into what's going on with Ripple at the moment. Some interesting things coming out of that camp. So they've announced a $200 million share buyback. They're expressing optimism for 2022. Let's dive into the history of this because it's kind of interesting. As we know, actually it was 2020, the SEC filed a lawsuit against Ripple. It was worth $1.3 billion. They said you are using XRP tokens. These are an unlicensed digital security, etc. Now, if you go back to 2019, they led all these funding rounds. They got a bunch of firms like Tetragon, SBI Holdings, Route 66 Ventures to invest. Anyway, after this lawsuit hit, one of those companies, Tetragon, actually sued Ripple and said, we want to force a buyback. There's an obligation of a buyback clause, the value of its undisclosed investment sum. They really fought them, but actually Ripple won at the time. And the courts decided in their favor that they did not have to force any sort of a buyback. Well, now fast forward, they are actually willingly wanting to buy back all of their Series C shares, which is a kind of an interesting move. And you had Brad Garlinghouse tweeting about this, saying even with 2021's headwinds, this was our best year on record. This $1 billion bank balance that we'll make it after this buyback makes it the strongest we've ever been. Just kind of an interesting turn of events there. You do have the Ripple XRP community also undergoing a lawsuit against the SEC at the moment, saying like, you have really hurt our investment with your lawsuit. So like some really interesting things that like this SEC lawsuit has created a catalyst effect for. So I'll throw this to the group. Jen, what's your take on all of this?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Ripple does in 2022, right? When a company buys back their shares, they want to seem more financially attractive. That's one of the reasons you would do this. And in that tweet you referenced, Naomi, I think that part of the Twitter thread, they were talking about NFTs, CBDCs, sidechains. And so I wonder what they have in store for 2022. And I wonder how the regulators are going to react to them potentially expanding. So I am watching closely, but Will, I see you nodding away there. What did you take away?
A few takeaways. Interesting to see a positive headline about Ripple because they're typically just kind of the ostracized coin at the party. No one really likes them that much these days. And seeing like a big valuation number, $15 billion, nothing to smirk at. And we can go either way on like opinions on coins, obviously. We'll just leave that aside. But I think it is interesting to see Brad Garlinghouse kind of rolling out a lot of the same comments that other tokens make about integrating things like CBDCs, NFTs, whatnot, kind of trailing what Ethereum has already done, just to put it bluntly. Seems to be the same kind of speak we see with a lot of these other altcoins who are trying to take Ethereum's second place seat. And then even from there, just looking at this valuation, $15 billion, being able to purchase back all that $200 million worth of shares that were outstanding. I mean, that's not crazy to me that they're able to do that because they do control the XRP token and they're able to print it when they want. So lots of questions for me about this whole thing. I'd love to get some more reporting around all of Ripple. Zach, I'll bump it up to you though.
Yeah, I think the valuation is the biggest question for me. What's driving that? What's driving that valuation, right? Like Ripple as a company has been pretty heads down, largely due to litigation, and we haven't heard much from them in terms of who they're signing on board as new partners within the banking sector, if that's still even a focus of theirs. It's interesting to see what investors are seeing, what they're seeing the value proposition be for what has long been a stalwart of this industry. So, there's been rumors for a number of years of Ripple going public. It's going to be interesting to see if that comes to bear in 2022. But yeah, interesting to see what the next chapter for this company will be. Given that the pie is bigger in terms of crypto users, in terms of people who are curious about integrating this into existing businesses, it's something that Ripple may be well suited to seize the opportunity there. But I'm just very curious, like what the next chapter is for this firm, and what they see as their strength, because some of the stuff I think between like interbank payments and stuff like that isn't necessarily of the moment. So I'm curious to see how it pans out with how Ripple sort of like makes its next big push. But I'll pass it to Naomi for her thoughts.
Yeah, I completely agree, Zach, and also wanted to add to what Jen was saying about this, what seems to be a pivot when they're talking about all of these other different things in the ecosystem. I mean, Ripple made its name because they were kind of the government coin, right? They were the one that was going to work with all the banks. They were the ones that were going to, provide those underlying payment rails between banks. And right now with the SEC lawsuit, I mean, the SEC knew exactly how to shut that down, file a lawsuit against them, and then no banks want to get involved with that, right? And so you had MoneyGram, pull out of their partnership. MoneyGram since partnered with other crypto projects. And so I think that Ripple is at this stage is thinking like, how long is this lawsuit going to go along? People are predicting that it's really wrapping up now. So perhaps we'll see some positive news for the crypto space in general. I'm always in solidarity with any project that's going to be fighting the SEC, because I think what they're doing is atrocious and destroying innovation, and people should have the right to experiment with all kinds of different financial innovation. And it's really being crippled at the moment with all these heavy-handed regulatory actions. But it is going to be interesting to see what happens with this project and if they are actually intending a pivot away from the original intentions of the project now that the government has kind of crippled all of that. Or maybe they will end this lawsuit, maybe they'll bounce back, maybe they'll go back into that. It's going to be interesting to watch this play out. But Zach, I'll throw it back to you to wrap up. Actually, Will, I think that you have the next story, so let's head on over there.
Let's head to Turkey, where we're going to talk about President Recep Erdogan looking into the metaverse with his official presidency research team. So according to some new information out of Turkey is looking into getting into the metaverse. This comes after a lot of notable Bitcoin and crypto headlines over the last 2 years, where Turkey has been, quote, in a war against Bitcoin and against cryptocurrencies in general. Some further context for this story is that the lira, which is Turkey's currency, has just had an awful year last year and continues to be a terrible currency this year as well. It's fallen. It almost looks kind of like an altcoin chart that's been rugged. And now they're looking to the metaverse. So we got a very weird pairing here where we have a government that is failing in multiple aspects, looking into a new technology like the metaverse and seeing if it has any application for their current regime. Jen, I'm going to throw this one to you. When I think of metaverse, I think of you. I don't know why you seem to have kind of branded yourself as the metaverse queen. So tell us about this instance here. I don't really understand why any government would get involved with this. Wasn't there like the Bahamas or some Caribbean nation was also doing something like this earlier?
I think was it Barbados? I think it was Barbados that bought up some land in the metaverse. They were going to have an embassy in the metaverse. This story honestly made me laugh. Yeah. So this story made me laugh because they held their meeting to discuss cryptocurrencies in the metaverse. And I just imagine these state officials, first of all, trying to figure out how to get into whichever metaverse they went into, creating their avatars. Like, this probably took weeks for them to figure out. Now they're in the metaverse and they're like, okay, we're immersing ourselves in this technology that we are now going to research. It just was very kind of funny to me. But governments getting into the metaverse is something, I think I said this when we spoke about Barbados, it's something that is, scary is not the right word, but just disappointing for me. The metaverse is supposed to be this free land where we can go to express ourselves. It's like supposed to be it's not supposed to represent the physical world. And now governments getting into the metaverse, they're going to create borders and laws and these regulations that we talk about in the show. And it's going to make the metaverse less fun. But anyways, I just thought it was funny that the Turkish government held their meeting there. And that they are launching a task force for people to go out and, gather up all the information about crypto and the metaverse to see what these kids are doing out there. So I wonder what kind of information they're going to get back, and if they're going to change their tune on crypto, given the state of politics in Turkey. I don't know if they are, but I don't know. Naomi, do you have a more intellectual take on this story than I do?
More intellectual take. Well, I just want to dive into what the president has actually said. So the report is that he urged this party to study the metaverse, cryptocurrencies, and how transactions are made using them, research the phenomenon with significant ramifications for the future, the economic aspects of the metaverse, cryptocurrencies, social media. So it's like, you're like, oh, okay, on the face, they're going into the metaverse itself to have this meeting. They're studying these things. I don't think this is a positive thing, guys. I don't think that they're like, guys, this is a party. How do we join it? Like, if you look to what the president actually said about cryptocurrencies last year, he literally declared war on cryptocurrencies, said that the country had no interest in adopting them. Either he's changed his tune and he's like, no, it's all joy and rainbows, or they're literally trying to understand how people are using this world, how people are transacting, how, cryptocurrencies work, because they do still see it as a threat and they just want to understand it so that they can better crack down. That seems to be more in line with what the Turkish government would do. So I definitely don't think that we're going to see a whole bunch of fun. Like, I could see Seoul, I could see, South Korea diving into this and doing a lot of fun. Like, they're a really fun country and really tech savvy, and they're always kind of on the cutting edge doing these fun, gimmicky, techie things. And so it's no surprise that Seoul, a few months ago, announced that they're going to be getting into the metaverse. You can go visit City Hall in the metaverse now. You can go to their version of the DMV in the metaverse. Like, you can do all these cool things. I don't think that's the future of Turkey. I think that they're going to learn just enough about this to be dangerous for people in their country, their involvement with it. So I'm not sure that this is great news, but let me throw it to the rest of the group. Zach, what's your thought?
All right, I'm gonna get back on my old man yells at cloud bullshit about about metaverse. Metaverse means nothing. It means too many things. I'm not going to talk about metaverse until there's specificity around which version of metaverse you're talking about here.
We need people like you to give us specificity.
PowerPoint, like the Microsoft,
tell
like
us,
PowerPoint,
you gotta read Snow Crash,
metaverse. You talking about like the sandbox metaverse? You talking about? There's too many things going on with the metaverse. Some people think crypto equals metaverse. There's too many things going on. Unless I hear with specificity what part of the metaverse they're talking about, I ain't commenting. That's it. That's
we're telling you, Zach, listening. We all telling you what metaverse is. You're just like, no, I don't care about Stevenson, the person who invented this term. Who cares what this person who literally invented the term means by it? No.
He invented it in like 1993, first of all. And it's become this thing in 2021 ever since Facebook decided to rebrand itself, where everyone wants to call everything metaverse. No, I haven't read Snow Crash.
Which is why you don't understand how Facebook's metaverse and crypto voxel's metaverse, all of these are exactly the same premise. You got to understand the foundation.
No,
because you don't understand. You've done no research into it. Go and read the book, Zach.
Educate
it's a great
yourself.
book. No, I've read some of him before, and he's great, fine writer.
But not the literal book where he delves into this and defines what it is.
Yeah, that's like a
and now you're like, there's no definition. It's like, yeah, because you never read the definition.
Language evolves, my friend. And here in 2022, it means way too many things all at once.
But you can't understand the evolution unless you actually read about that history. But you're like, nah, not going to do it.
I'm with
Still
Naomi.
Confused though, but not going to do the research.
I'm jaded.
Zach,
too many PR pitches in my inbox.
Pivot to the hash. Every week, I'll read a chapter of Snow Crash to the members of the hash. We'll get through it over the course of the next few years, I'm sure.
I'm not sure.
I think Neil Stevenson is going to be at Consensus this year also, so we can plug that anyway. Check that out.
Gosh.
June. All right. Okay, we're wrapping. Shut it down, people. That was the hash for today. Sorry to get old man grouchy style on y'all. Hey, Jen made the whole show, though, so that's cool. So the internet. Shout out to the internet. Thank you. Woo, we did it. We did it, folks. All right. Good times. All right. Well, that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm Zach Seward. Jen Snassi is here the whole time. It's amazing. Naomi Brockwell right above her, and that's Will Foxley down there. We're the hash. We'll see you tomorrow.
That's
Thanks for tuning in.
Zach Seward. He hasn't read Snow Crash, but he intends to. Don't worry.
He can't even read. Don't fact check. Can't read. Sorry, guys.
Twist. Can't read.
All right. See ya.
Bye.